If you are a projector, someone has told you to wait for the invitation. And somewhere along the way, that turned into don't speak, don't start, don't move until you're asked. I'm a mental projector, and I'm telling you that advice, taught the way it usually gets taught, has made projectors smaller. It made us doubt our power and think something's wrong with us. And it's a misreading of what the invitation was ever for. Let me show you the actual mechanism, because once you see it, you don't shrink again. Quick honesty first. Strategy and authority were not part of the original human design transmission. They came into the system about a decade after the original download. They are already an interpretation of the mechanics, not the mechanics themselves. Ra received the correspondence, the strategy, the rules for how to live it. That's meaning he made from patterns he watched over years. And I just want to say I'm grateful for his work. And I also think he got a bit system blind, the way anyone does when they're that soaked into one framework. Ra himself said, "Don't believe a thing I tell you. Try it for yourself." So that's what we're doing here. We're testing the rule instead of worshipping it. So the rule as you received it. Projector, you don't have consistent energy to initiate like a generator or a manifestor. So you wait to be recognized and invited, and then your gift lands. Fine, so far. The problem isn't the invitation. The problem is how wide we stretched it. It got applied to your whole life, when it was only ever about one narrow thing. So let me tell you what the invitation actually governs, because it's really specific. The invitation is specific to guiding someone or developing intimacy with them. Real intimacy, including platonic, an individual or a distinct group. That's the territory. When you're about to pour your seeing into one particular person or one particular room, that's where recognition and an invitation make the whole thing land instead of bounce. And the part almost nobody frames correctly is this. The real function of the invitation is energy I can't say that loud. It's energy protection, okay? You have precious, limited energy. The invitation helps you preserve it for people who are ready, willing, and able to receive your seeing, and it's like, it's being said that projector aura is really penetrating, okay? Which means, we basically really go into someone else's G center and we see them really deeply, and not everyone is ready for that. Most people, honestly, are not. So the discernment is, where will my guidance actually be received and valued and used? That's what you're waiting for. You're not waiting for permission to exist. You're waiting to know where your insight won't be wasted. And even the decision of, if it's wasted or not, that's up to you. That's not a black or white thing that, we can easily, differentiate like that. So it's about valuing your wisdom so much that you don't just hand it to anyone who walks past. Even when the person you're withholding from doesn't like it. That's, what moves a projector from bitterness into success. Without it, you bleed energy into people who were never going to hear you. And then you wonder why you're exhausted. That's the whole point. Now, the correction I actually came here to make. You do not need truth as a projector. You do not need an invitation to live your life, to make your art, to follow your own inner compass, to start the thing. The invitation was never a gate on any of that. It governs guiding and intimacy, okay? It does not govern your existence. I'll go further. The invitation isn't even a hard need. You can still see what you see in another person without being invited to say it out loud. The seeing happens either way. It's like manifestors and informing. A manifestor doesn't actually need to inform anyone to initiate. Informing just makes it smoother and more comfortable for everyone. So the invitation works the same way for us. It makes the exchange obvious and clean. It is not the switch, that turns your life on. And one more thing people skip. We all have projected channels. Every type, except reflectors, for any advice to truly land, recognition and invitation help, That's not a projector only burden. So when the whole weight of wait to be invited gets dumped onto projectors as if we're uniquely disabled, that's just wrong. It's a human dynamic and it got pinned on us. So the thing that cracked this whole system open for me, my own chart. I'm a projector, and my chart is loaded with initiation energy. I mean, like my whole, root center is lit up, like a Christmas tree. That's one thing. But another, triple activated gate 41, gate 38, gate 39. If you know these gates, you know they are pressure and provocation and the drive to start something new. Jesus Christ. So I sat inside a real contradiction. The book said wait. I mean, like one part of the book said wait, don't initiate, hold back. And, the rest of my design was practically vibrating to initiate. So, like for a long time, I tried to obey the rule anyway. And following strategy and authority rigidly brought me actually more trouble and felt more limiting and discouraging than the times I didn't. That is my lived experience, not a theory. And the contradiction wasn't a flaw in me. It was the rule being too crude for a real human chart. That's when I stopped, treating the interpretation as fact and went back to mechanics. And I mean, like, not only mechanics, to the whole complex of, how evidence-based practice works. So we have the research, or the system, we have the professional working with it, and then we have the actual individual. So at the intersection of these three, we have, what we're working with, the truth, so to say. So what I wanted to say. So when you strip human design back down to mechanics and take off all the borrowed meaning, you finally get empowered. You get to choose what it means for you. And I'm not talking about cherry picking, but actually, feel what it means to you. Living by someone else's interpretation as if it's law just builds imagined limitations, and imagined limitations eat the energy you needed for the real ones. I want to tell you something I don't usually say out loud. My grandma had these projector moments. This deep, out of nowhere seeing. Back then, I didn't actually have the language for any of it, and I wish so much that I had. Because if I'd understood what she was, I would have listened so much more carefully. She loved me unconditionally. We had a bond I've never had with anyone else in my family, and she had so much gold to share. I mean, like, think about it. She was born, like, she was a kid during the Second World War in Czech Republic, occupied by Germany. And, then she was living through the whole, communism era. And then she, of course, lived through the democracy. So, like, she had a lot of experience, a lot of life experience. And, a lot of it I only understood later, once it was too late to ask her more. That's the quiet cost of the just wait, stay quiet story. It doesn't only shrink the projector, it teaches everyone around them to tune out the exact person who sees the most. So if you have projectors in your life, the quiet ones, the ones who go straight to the thing nobody else names, listen carefully to what they say. And if you are the projector, understand what you're carrying, because the people who love you might be waiting to receive it. So let me be blunt about the stakes, because this is what the soft version costs. Projectors told to wait with no nuance become passive, bitter, invisible, and broke. That's not me being dramatic, okay? This is the freaking pattern I keep seeing over and over again. Because you sit on your gift, waiting for a perfect invitation that etiquette says you can't ever prompt. Nothing comes because you've hidden yourself. The bitterness sets in. The bank account confirms it. And then the same teaching tells you your bitterness means you're doing your own type wrong. That's the trap. A system that promises to set you free should not hand you a rule that makes you disappear and then blame you for disappearing. The discriminant version of the invitation makes you selective and powerful. The obedience version makes you small. Same word, opposite life. So, what I'd actually have you do, okay, live your life. Live your life, speak your truth, start the thing. None of that ever needed an invitation. Save the waiting for the one place it belongs, guiding and intimacy. And even there, treat it, as, I don't know, like kind of like as a compass, not a leash. Value your seeing enough to aim it at people who are ready for it. And stop spending yourself on the ones who aren't. Test all of this for yourself, the way Ra told you to, instead of obeying it because a book said so, or because, the 100 influencers all over the internet says so. The invitation was supposed to protect your energy. It was never supposed to shrink your life. If it's been shrinking yours, that's the correction right over here. And if you want to work with your actual chart instead of the crude version of your human design type, that's what my human design redefined lab on Skull is for. It's linked below. Come find me there. This is the invitation, okay? If you accept it, that's a totally different story. But what I wanted to say, okay, invitation, waiting for an invitation is here to protect your energy as a projector, not someone else's comfort. That's the important thing. And I feel like this is something that gets, like turned around so much, And I mean, like, the biggest shift for me was, first of all, being okay, with someone not being okay of giving my advice or, sharing my insight. Because, yeah, this is what I forgot to say. I think when I was researching this topic a while ago, I think it was like 2 years ago or something, I found an online course on the different types of projector invitations. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I realized they were, like kind of like trying to tell you, that when someone, says so, I mean, like, it was really it was really weird to me. So I don't remember the specifics anymore. Okay. But what I wanted to say, the invitation is not something like, I mean, like when someone, purchases from you, it still might not mean, they're giving you the invitation. They they just paid you, they want your service, but the invitation, is a deep energetic thing. It's something what you feel on the energy level. So when my husband said I was promising him his human design reading or like analysis, like for, I don't know, a year or something, I was like, yeah, I know, because like throughout the time, I didn't really feel, his energy being ready for the insight I was going to give. So I actually have to revisit if he's already ready or not. I might do that anyway. But, like even if someone says they want something, you can still sense the energy if that's truly, if that's truly truth or not. The invitation and recognition is something you feel on a deep energetic level. And that's not something, you can do via email. That's not something, that is proven by someone, calling you or texting you or purchasing from you or DMing you or watching your social media. That's not that thing. So I just want you, to know this nuance and don't overthink it, The biggest shift for me was accepting that I might get the invitation wrong, but that's part of the experience. And if I share something from that genuine place, I don't feel bad, if that doesn't land as it should. Because that's not on me. That's on the other side. And, we can only, but we can't make it ring. So to wrap it up, all the insights in the Human Design Redefined Lab on Skull. Happy to welcome you there. Happy to invite you there. See you there. And you can also browse my channel for the next videos.